Well, hello friends. Welcome back to Browser Hacking. Today we are going to see if we can get this Ubuntu default server page thingy working in the Serenity browser, because this is what I have running on my local machine here. There's no HTTPS, so it's available to us. And it would be nice if we can open this page in our browser, right? I wonder what kind of image that is. It's a PNG, so maybe we even have a chance with that one. So I figured we would just start by trying to load it and then work through whatever issues come up. So right away, we crash in the CSS parser. So hopefully prints out the whole style sheet and tells us that we failed at character number 3. So that's definitely here. See, 1, 2, 3 characters into it, and there's asterisk selector, or the universal selector, which we have not implemented. Universal selector just matches anything, right? So let's see how they define it. Matches elements of any type. And we don't have namespaces, so let's not worry about namespaces at the moment. But yeah, so just a star, right? So let's go ahead and define that selector component type. So let's say maybe a universal can be the type. And I think the specificity of a universal selector is 0, I guess. Specificity universal selector. What do you say? Universal selector has no effect on specificity, right? Because there's no tag name, ID, or class in this selector. Okay, so then let's go in the CSS parser and look at where we parse selector component. So let's see, these are the combinators. Wait, so how is this called again? Parse selector loops and calls parse selector component. And then parse selector component. I guess if we encounter a star, then else tag name, I guess. So here we're just going to say type is selector component type universal consume 1, and then I'm thinking that we basically don't need anything more in this selector. So I mean in this component. So if we get here, we can just finish up the selector component and return it. So this thing returns an optional selector component, right? So we consume the star that we just peeked, and then we will return selector component. And what are here are the things. So selector component pseudo class. There is no pseudo class. The relation, there's not going to be any string here either. Where do we get the relation from? Oh, if there's a combinator. Right. So let's see. Maybe here we should say while type is not selector component type. And I was thinking we could do it this way, and then we don't have to do the custom return up there. Universal, like that. So we'll only read from the selector. Buffer. Wait, why would our buffer ever be null? Oh, empty. Okay, well that got a bit convoluted, so maybe let's just stick to the easy way of doing things. Then let's actually simplify this further by just saying let's do this up here. We can bail out a little earlier, because it feels weird to bail out in the middle of this waterfall of else ifs. Something like that instead. Okay, so now we have a selector component that's universal, and I guess we have to teach the selector engine how to match that component. So the selector engine works by recursing through your selector and evaluating the components right to left. And what we are going to do is figure out, here is where we match a component. We're going to figure out if it's the universal selector. I guess we can just say, well, yeah, that's a match. Don't even worry about it. Component type universal. Return, frick yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sorry, I forgot to update this function right here, which is the function that dumps out a style rule. Oops. Accidentally whacking the keyboard there. So maybe we should have made a link to this address, because it's annoying to type it. And now we're failing instead somewhere else at character 2866. So it's a little bit harder to eyeball where that would be, but let's just copy it and put it in a file, I guess. And what was it? 2866, right? Wait, was that it? 2866. Assertion failed. We're looking for a colon. And 2866 at the very end. Wait, is that really true? Go to 2866. Yeah, okay, so it's at the very end of the file. And we're expecting to find a colon. I wonder why that is. Is it because of the, I don't know, let's look at the call stack. So parse sheet, parse rule, presumably we're in this rule. Parse declaration, parse property, maybe we just can't handle an empty CSS declaration. I don't know, well we should handle that. So parse declaration. So we try to parse property. So we come in here, and now it's time to parse property and consume whitespace or comments. So I guess in this case we should just handle if the next character is a curly brace, then we will just return. like that. Because then, like, yeah, so if there's any amount of white space followed by a semicolon, we swallow the semicolon and return. If there's a right curly, then we just return, because it's the responsibility of our caller parse declaration to handle the curly. Or actually, it doesn't handle the curly, it defers to parse rule, I guess. So rule will consume the curly after a successful declaration parse. Right. So this parser is not very fault tolerant, but that's a problem for another day maybe. Oof! Look at that. That's pretty good progress, pretty fast. Wow. Okay, so I was not expecting that to start working so well so quickly. So let's see what we're looking at here. Obviously, there are differences, right? Like, we don't have these fonts. We just have our own font. But here it says should replace this file in italic. I mean, in a bold font, and we're not bold. What's that about? It says replace this file. Why don't we bold that? I should figure that out. You should replace this file. Not bold, bruh. Let's look at the DOM tree. See if we at least, oopsie doopsie. This thing is not so intuitive. Like, I double click and it doesn't do what I want. Should work on that. Let's see, it works. That text is totally missing. You can see like a little magenta rectangle here, but we're not actually seeing the text. This text is fine. Here is the B tag with the replace this file. So it's in the B tag, but we're totally not bolding it for some reason. Don't know why. Okay, so we got that to look into. And then we also, let's see, this thing has a border, which we are not displaying. Let's look at the style of that. Go away. Border style dotted. Right, so we don't currently have dotted borders, something that we could implement. Then we have the UL here. This thing actually looks kind of reasonable. It's the stuff down here. It's like the list. Although these all have the list, the dot in the list items. It's like we have it centered vertically, and here it's up top. So that's different. And this text is missing, document roots. All right, so we got all kinds of interesting issues here to look at. Maybe we'll start with the bold thing. So let's get a layout tree dump, and that did not go well. It crashed. What the frick? String from property ID. What? Okay. So that's, I added this cogeneration that takes an input file that defines all these CSS properties. I can show it to you. It's in CSS properties.json, and it just tells us which properties are available, are they inherited, what's the initial value, and it needs to have more stuff in it. Just wanted something off of which I could write a code generator to produce things like this. That this is used by the parser. It just takes a input string and gives you back the CSS property ID enum, and this file is also generated. So we have this string from property ID, which I guess is going all the way down here because calling it with some property ID that's not known. So I guess let's just make it not assert in those cases, but we'll just say something else like invalid CSS property ID, just something like that, just so that we can make progress on this stuff. I think I have to rebuild the code generator. Cogeneration is amazing, by the way. Like, I know that a lot of people, they like to write code generators in other languages, like scripting languages and stuff, but I don't mind using C++ for it. It's because this could just as well be C++, right? You just open up a JSON file here, read it all in, and then start printing out your C++ code. Here we iterate over the JSON, and then we iterate once again later. But I don't know. I didn't want to like spin up Python or Perl or PHP or whatever for this. It seemed silly. Maybe one day when we have our own scripting language, I would feel more inclined to script things. So let's see how this turned out here in the generated code. Okay, so now it ends like this instead, so we should at least be able to get a layout tree dump. And actually, let me make a hyperlink to my local web server here. Real quick, my local machine. Just so I have something to click on. Boom. Okay. So let's get one of those layout tree dumps. Holy moly. Okay, that's pretty big, but we should be able to find that bold tag that was going weirdly. Also, I wonder what those like invalid CSS properties are. Something here. I mean, I guess it's any property that we don't actually parse. We don't know what enum to give you for it. Relative. Maybe I forgot. Maybe I forgot to add the position attribute. Properties JSON position. Yeah, I didn't add position. Well, that's very silly. Okay, well, we can just add that right away. So I'll show you how to add a CSS property. You just add it like this. And is position inherited? I don't remember. I don't remember this kind of things. CSS values, position inherited. Inherited no. Looking up the absolute authority on web stuff. W3 schools. Inherited no. Default value static. Well, all right. Inherited. I'm gonna believe you this time. W3 schools. So that's the basic idea. And then when we rebuild, then this code now has position in the enum, and likewise in the property id cpp, position is handled like that. So it's nice to have a code generator for this. I was avoiding this code for a while because I didn't want to do the code generator, so I'm glad that I sat down and did it the other day, yesterday, I guess. All right, so now finally, can we see the layout tree? So where's that bold tag? So the layout document has an HTML tag, has a body element, and a div, and here it says Apache Ubuntu Def I guess there's a little bit of that's probably just an issue with the dump code. So here's the image. Text null. Default welcome page. It was supposed to say it works somewhere. Where was that text? Here, all right. Let's bring up the good old HTML here. So where does it say it works? It's a div with ID about, right? So do we have the text it works anywhere? Seems like we don't. Well, not to worry. Wait, hold on. There's a div about, but then it closes it right away. So we're actually in the section header. Maybe that's screwing us up somehow. So let's see, span, that's the span here. And then blah, 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 blah. And then there's another div. It's this one. It has a div inside of it. Should be that one. So I guess it's probably this right here. This one is definitely acting strange. The text is null, which I don't understand why. I wonder. So the dimensions of it. Oh, it has length 0. But it has a normal looking rectangle. Or, I mean, it's 21 pixels wide. So let's see what that looks like if we turn on the Linebox borders. You can't really fit the text. It works in here, but I don't know. And then what was up with the bold stuff? The bold's just like that. Okay, so replace this file. That's right here. Replace this file. Yeah, it's spread over spread across 2 lines here. So replace this and file. But we have them both here. They're in this layout text. So in order to find this text, we actually have to scroll down a little bit. Here's the B. And it has a text inside of it. But I guess probably the issue is that the way that we implement the bold is, oh yeah, I know what the problem is. So the way that we implement bold is for the B tag, or maybe I was wrong about that. Font weight. What the hell do we do with this? I guess that we're screwing this up somehow and just returning the default font. We're gonna have to look at how the font is looked up here. So we have a font cache that looks up by family and weight. So let's just dump out all the things that we use. Maybe all the things that we don't have in cache. Uncached font lookup. Font family. Weight. Let's see what it actually says. So, yeah. So we're looking up like Verdana or sans serif with a weight bold. But because we don't find any font with this name, I think we always just do a fallback to the default font. Right. So we're not going to be able to satisfy, because we don't have Verdana, right? But we are definitely able to have a different fallback when the font weight is bold. So let's see. Here's where we fall back. Failed to find a font for family. So then we'll do if font weight is bold and font default bold font. I think that's kind of that's a good enough workaround for this issue until we have proper font library and font loading and everything. All right, looky look, we're bold. That's pretty cool. All right, let's commit some stuff because we have all kinds of changes now. So here we're just adding the position property. Add the CSS position property to CSS properties.json. And HTML, don't crash. Stringifying an unknown CSS property. Yeah. Instead, just log that it happened, and then we can track it down. All right. And in dump, oh, this is a universal selector, right? So, because, wait, am I just adding everything now? The HTML, CSS, selector. Then we have the bold change separately. Implement the universal selector. Oh, wait, hold on. We are also sneaking in another change here. This change. Let's take that one out and do it separately. The empty declaration change. Here. Okay. Tolerate empty style rules. Yeah. A rule that contains nothing or just white space, nothing but space, is still a valid rule. Yeah. And finally, the font fallback for bold. Failed font lookups should default. Bold fallback font when needed. Or failed font lookups use a bold when appropriate. No, when fitting. If we fail to find a font specified by page, but we do have some font weight information, use this bold fallback font for bold weight. That just makes so much sense, right? Okay, so let's see what else we were working with here. So it works is missing. That is weird. Did we have anything else strange going on? Document roots is also missing. Can we provoke them to come up somehow? That's a little bit strange that it does that. Does it do that here too? Oh, it doesn't. It refuses to shrink this container, but we allow it to shrink. Oh, I wonder what that's about. It appears to have a exact width. And why is that? It's the main page div, I guess. It's 800 pixels. And why are you 800 pixels? Because of the width property. And are we just railroading you on that? Or maybe we'd never go past 800. No, we definitely do. Alright. I don't know why it's like that. Probably we haven't implemented the width property perfectly right. Oh, wait, hold on. Display table. What? That's so weird. It still does seem like we should respect the width property, though. What else do we have? Well, let's just look at this it works thing, because that bothers me. So we had something there, but it was null. So let's see how we dump out the line boxes. Because why would it be null? Blah, 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 blah. So I guess we should take a look at the line boxes again here, see what we're working with. So line box borders is a very, very handy debug setting. So just to recap, in our web engine at the moment, we have the concept of layout blocks, which we can dump out here, and each block can have lines in it, and if so, you'll find them at the layout block in the tree dump. So you go and you find, let's find a block. These are list items. I want to find a block. Here's a layout block right here. And here's one inside of it that has actual lines of text. So each line box here is contributed by a child of the block, because the block itself doesn't have text, but when we lay out the children of the block, then they contribute line box content to its containing layout block. And that's how we end up with this stuff. So like the text on these lines comes from multiple different tags. Like you can see the B tag here, right? That when we do the line layout, then they all contribute to their containing block, and so that's how we end up looking like that. But this doesn't look entirely right, because it's like the white space is not collapsed and everything. So something tells me that we're not dumping out exactly the text that we should be dumping out. The layout text node data. Don't we have some kind of a text for rendering or something? And text for rendering, right. How do I think that's the thing that we actually show. So that's probably what we should be exposing in the dump as well. So we'll put that here, text for rendering. And let's see. Wait, what does text for rendering contain though? Split into lines. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and trust that this thing is sane, and we will dump it out. And hopefully it will be something reasonable. This is very wordy here. Oh, right. This part. Yeah, text for rendering. No member named. Why not? As string. Oh. I guess we were stringifying this so that we could. Cannot do that. Okay, what is going on here? Let's. Okay. The fragment text is this. Can we just please get something that we can print out? I just want to see it. I don't know why that was so difficult today. And I don't know why we didn't boot. Oh, look at that. Something in the PS2 mouse device, of all things. Wait, this is not what I'm working on. Okay. So, don't play a tree. I wonder if this helped at all. This is the default welcome page. See, now this is starting to look a lot more sane. Yeah, now we have the right text. Because every Linebox fragment, every one of these Linebox fragments and everything, they all consist of a pointer to the render or the layout object that it comes from, and then also an offset into it, so that if it's this box right here, for instance, replace this file, it will point into the layout node for the B tag and then have an offset of 0. Or if there's like white space at the start of that tag, then it will have like an offset of however many white space characters are before the word replace. So what we did here, we were just making sure that when we dump things out, then we use the text, the string that's effectively used for rendering the page. We also use that when we dump out what's in each fragment. Please contact the sit. I should probably say site. Where's this even? Oh wait, it's right here, and it does say sit. Site test. Okay, so I guess we have other issues. Okay, so line breaking here is actually totally not correct, but that's also a different problem. Not what we have to do right now, but I wonder why. Still, we don't know why this thing here is empty. Unless it is because of this line breaking business. Because I suppose, like, you can see that, like, it totally cuts off random words. That's not good. Why are you doing that? It almost seems like it cuts off the last letter. No, okay, well, we're gonna have to look at this, but let's commit this thing. Well, it's not super beautiful, but it's just a dump code, who cares? I care. Let's tidy this up a little bit. It's already a string. And we can just do oopsie doopsie. Like that. Fragment text. And if we do substring, then we don't have to stringify. And yeah, I think that's pretty good. Git commit libhtml. Use layout text in layout tree dumps. This ensures that this makes the fragment offsets this way. The fragment offsets make a lot more sense since they assume white space has already been collapsed. Okay. But why are we ending up this way? I guess maybe we can make a much simpler test for this. Maybe we already have one. Maybe our own test pages are already broken. Actually, let's go in lorem ipsum. It's not obviously broken, but of course I can't actually read what it says. So what about the better mother frickin' website? I don't immediately see that type of problem here. But here it's so apparent. The Apache2 server, like, why the heck? So we just cut it off right there. Let's make a copy of this page then. So dub. I guess we'll do it this way. Maybe this way even. And what do we get? We got this page. And what does it look like if we just open it? Like this. Probably good enough for us. Although maybe we can get the image too. Probably. Because why not? All right, let's see if we can actually load this. So we call it apa.html. Apache2 welcome page. All right. Yeah, so it's still screwed. That's good. That means that we can actually start to pick at it. Let's make a copy of that so that we'll have it. I'm just thinking we're going to cut out a lot of this stuff, so everything after the first part, maybe. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Is that good enough? I have no idea if we're actually still going to look the same, because probably libHTML is a lot less forgiving if I just screwed up the HTML document structure there. But it seems like it was okay. Okay, so this is still messed up. So, by the way, this is what browser engineering is all about. It's like test case reduction. You gotta make it smaller and smaller and smaller until you have the problem with the smallest possible test file. So it's a lot of this. Can we still get the problem even with none of these things? I don't know why I'm deleting so slowly. Let me go faster. With no style. Will it still fail? Yes, it does. It totally does. All right. Well, that's great. Then, can we get rid of more stuff? Guess we don't need all these classes anymore. So we remove the style anyway. And maybe we can do this. I just want to have something as small as possible to work with here. Okay, so it still fails to break this, so probably the issue is it's even simpler than I think it is. Don't need that. There's so many divs. Okay, almost there. Is it going to still be screwed if I do this? Because that will mean that none of the HTML was at fault, which is good and bad. Because it's nice if the problem is very fundamental, because then we'll fix more things by fixing it. Okay, wait, no, now it doesn't do that anymore. All right, so div and the P was required. What about just the div? Yes, with just the div, it still screws up. Okay, so now we have it down to a very, very simple test page. Lovely. So let's look at the Linebox borders. This Linebox here is clearly messed up. Dump the layout tree, please. The default welcome page used to test the correct operation of the. For some reason, we have decided that that's where we should break. So let's go and look at where we lay this stuff out. Probably in layout text. Let text split into lines. This is going to be the function that's doing this. Collapse white space into single spaces. That's where we produce the text for rendering. And then for each word, I guess that iterates text for rendering. Right. So for each word, maybe we can log what he says each word is. Word. Something like that. Maybe as string. We can at least see what are the words that we are given by the word iteration. Okay, so here. Let's screw it up. So it says operation of the, and then, oh, I guess now we should do this. So. Here, just to know where we're starting, of the Apache2 server. So it continues giving us the words correctly, but we're not doing the sensible thing with them. So we're appending them to a list of words, and the words contain the UTF-8 view object that just contains the word, and then the start and the length, which are the offset into the mtext for rendering that should be used for the fragment. And then notice that each piece of white space is also considered a word by the line splitting algorithm at the moment. So what we do with the words is that we iterate through all of the words that we got. And then we check, is this white space or non-white space? If it's white space, then we collapse the width into the space width, which we have already computed up here. So it's just the width of the space in the current font. Otherwise, we ask the font, how wide is this word? Okay. And then if the last line box in the containing block is non-empty, and this word is wider than the currently available width remaining on the line, then we have to make a new line. So that's how we do that. And that resets the available width. So if it's white space and there are no fragments yet, that means this is for avoiding white space at the start of the line, because if there are no fragments on this line box that we're adding to at the moment, we're at the start of the line, so no point in adding white space. And then to the last line box in the block, we add a fragment that says at the start of this word start, and then it's white space 1. I wonder if that matters at all. Word width. These should be floats, by the way. But And anyways, then after we add the fragment, then we decrement the word width that we just added from the available width, and then if we go below 0, then we add a new line box so that we are ready to start when the next line begins. It should probably be like that, because if there's nothing left, then the next pass is not going to succeed either, but that's not really the problem. So I sort of get the feeling that something is not entirely right with these start and length numbers. So let's dump those out as well. Maybe we can dump them out like this. Or what if we try to construct a substring right away? So we'll do like m text for rendering, substring view, start, and length. What will we actually get? Substr, I don't know, something like that. Because now we're reconstructing what dump code was doing, and we'll see what it actually turns into. All right. This is the default welcome page. Of the Apache2 server. Okay, so this part is fine. Then why is it producing this terrible, terrible fragment? Let's be very obvious here. Okay, fine. Splitting text. Begin splitting text. End splitting text. And then we'll say non-empty line full breaking. This is ignoring white space at start of line. This feels like Fortran or something. Fill up a line, breaking. This could probably be done in single place, actually. Okay, now for the interesting part here, where we add a word. Add word. Word view as string. With width. Line and height. Line height. Alright. Why does that not work? Overloaded operator is goofy because okay. And blah. Correct operation of the, and then we have a line break. Non-empty line full breaking. Okay, so what about now though? correct operation of the. We still think that we're on the same line. Apache2. Okay. And how the heck does this look in the I wonder if it would still have this problem if we... Let me edit it inside here instead, because it's so annoying to restart all the time. I don't know why I don't do this. Where are you? Here. Maybe we should have an open in text editor link in the browser. What if I just do like this, right? Does that matter? Yes, it does. Okay, so it's because of the frickin' white space. So the white space is screwing everything up. Okay, well, that's good to know. And does it matter if the white space is on both lines? Okay, it's not super clear to me exactly how the problem manifests, but definitely because of the white space. Okay, so I guess we're not collapsing it correctly in some case. Or we are not using the right input somewhere. But as far as we could tell, the fragments were basically right. But let me double check that. So here, the Apache2. The Apache2 server. Okay, so the words are all good. Where is the error creeping in? So maybe it's when we paint. Maybe it's when we paint. Because these widths look reasonable. When we paint. Render fragment. So what we do is we call draw text with text for rendering, substring view, and then the fragment start and length. And then we're passing in the fragment rect. So I guess one thing we could do here is we could take this out into a variable and see exactly what is the fragment text that we are rendering. And I wonder if this rectangle is bungled and if that's what's screwing us up. Because maybe we just don't make enough space in there for ourselves. I don't know, we'll find out. Alright. So here we can see that the text is wrong. Render fragment has the wrong text. Cool. Why? Maybe this is because of fragment merging. So one thing that happens is when you add fragment, then we try to merge with the previous fragments on the same line if they come from the same layout node, so they're contributed from the same piece of text, basically. So there's no style difference. Then instead of like having thousands of fragments, one for every word, we try to merge them. So maybe that's where we're screwing up here. So basically, if it's not text line justify, because to implement that, we put everything in a separate fragment. And if there's already at least one other fragment, and if the last one has the same layout node as the new one we're adding, expand the last fragment instead of adding a new one with the same layout node, right? So fragment's last length is what is this magic right here? Start minus m fragments last start. What? I'm sure I was doing something when I wrote this code, but frick, what the heck? How does this work? So start is the start index into the text for rendering of the current fragment that we're adding. And we're subtracting that from the start position of the previous fragment. So this is the distance between, this is distance in string indices from the current fragment to the previous fragment. And then we add the length of the new fragment to that. I don't understand. Shouldn't the length always increase? Like, I'm confused. Like, why isn't it just like this? I want that code back that was doing that thing. Wow, it's not there anymore. All right. So definitely wrong. So maybe we can just print out here what we're doing, and maybe we can make it load that test page on startup, because that would be a little handy. And in fact, we can also make the test page a little smaller. Do we have it open somewhere? I think we can do that. I think this will still fail. No? Oh, yes, it does. Okay. Yeah. Where's that big allowance coming from anyway? Test the correct operation of... I feel like this is as much as you can screw this up. But who knows where it's coming from. So let's see. I guess we can say here, debug merging. Let's log these. Merging. Layout. This is a layout text. Text for rendering, substring view, start length. With previous, with existing fragment, this. Let's just see this. We'll just verify that it is indeed merging. Okay, so we are merging of the, yeah, it's merged in every single case. But why would this be a problem? I'm wondering, like, if we're using the raw text anywhere. Text for style is using it. Is there anyone else doing this? What's text for style used for? Layout tree builder. This is just from making the layout tree. It's the only thing that we do with that. Okay. That's harmless. Okay. Render fragment. Let's print out the whole thing here as well. I want to see what it is. Okay, so the whole is good. And we will have one single white space at the start. And it's almost like when we add the words, then we don't add enough length. So let's dump out the length that we're adding. And the start also. So maybe those numbers are wrong. I don't know. We'll find out. We're going to find it all out, don't you worry. Of the Apache2. Okay, so the is definitely 3 characters. Apache2 is 7. These are all good. Okay. I guess at that point we could also do something like merge is now, and we can clunk out the whole thing. Start and fragments last length, because now we'll dump out the fragment that we have merged together so far, see exactly what the text looks like. And actually we should put something so we can see where it ends. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's take a look. I could probably size it to the right size on startup actually. So we'll do 513 by 46. Let's start up with that size. We don't have to adjust it every time. Okay, so of the Apache, see, at this point he's still good. But then by the time we get here, the fragment's all screwed. But while we are merging, it's good. So what the frick happens to it? The Apache2 server. Is there something that happens later in layout block? Split into lines. We call trim trailing white space. Oh, I wonder if that's just totally busted and it's screwing everything up. What if we just don't do that? We'll see what happens. Wait, oh, it had the right dimensions on start. Or it was supposed to. Oh, but now it's looking right. Oh, yeah, right. So that fixed the problem. So this jerk, what is this code even doing? Okay, so let's look at this. Trim trailing white space. While the fragment is non-empty and the last one is a piece of justifiable white space, then we will remove the last fragment. And here you shrink the size of the last fragment. M fragments last dot text. Ooh, this is the bastard right here. So I see it now. So first we prune all the justifiable white space from the right side of the string, basically, or from the right side of the line box. And then if we have no fragments, then we're done. And then we get the text of the very last fragment, which is known to be not white space. And then it's not entirely white space. And then we walk from the right side of that last fragment, removing one space at a time, reducing the length of the fragment by 1, and reducing the width of the fragment by 1 space width. But this right here is calling fragments text. So Linebox fragment text, and this guy, he is going directly to the DOM node and getting the text, which includes the white space. So here we are doing the right-hand side white space pruning based on the DOM text rather than based on the text for rendering. Oh, okay. Now we can remove a bunch of crap in layout text because this has gotten so spammy now. I just want to see that this works, but I have a very good feeling this is going to work. White space collapsing is a bit annoying. So basically, you can't use the DOM text, like the verbatim what's in the HTML file, to render stuff, because HTML says that you should not, like if you have a new line character, then it shouldn't become a new line. And it shouldn't, if you have 2 spaces next to each other, they count as 1 space. So because of that, we have to collapse all the white space. And look at that behaving all nicely. But did I re-enable that code path though? Let me not celebrate too soon. Layout, inline children, trim trailing white space. Yeah, okay, okay. So really the change that, maybe this change was not actually needed. I am suspicious of that particular change. Let me let go of everything maybe and see that I need to go and go over this a bit by myself so I can remember how everything works. It's just, I've been away from libhtml for a while, so as you can now see, like I was just working my way back through it. Let's do a do over here. So layout text, Linebox rather. Oh no, where the hell is it? This one, this guy right here. Text for rendering. Okay. Yeah, that's good. And, oh yeah, and this is the home page now. So let's go to, oh, that's not what I wanted. I wanted my local machine. It works. So that was the problem there too. Configuration overview. Look at this. Everything is where it should be. That looks a little bit weird, but maybe that's intended. It's a really like a light color. Existing bug reports. Oh, it's supposed to have a background. Oh crap. How does that work? It's a link. Is there a hover? Oh, that's gross. I just want to look at the style. Hover. Background color. Seems like we don't care about background color when you hover. But I think maybe we don't care at all about background color when you render a fragment. Yeah, we don't. We should though. guess we can do that here. So when we're rendering a text fragment, then we just get the style from the element that's the immediate parent of the text. So we can say auto background color is style dot property CSS property ID background color, and then if background color has value, then painter fill rect and closing interact of the fragment rect background color value. Oh wait, hold on. We have to also check that it's is color to color for the document. Okay. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's so nice. All right. Didn't we have any other links? Anyways, I think I'm basically gonna be done for the day here. But let's take a look at it through HTTP. And I mean, it looks the same, so I don't know. I don't know what I thought it's gonna be different. But that's really cool. So let's commit some changes. HTML fix broken white space. Broken removal of bug and removal of trailing white space from line boxes. This code was operating with using DOM text from the DOM as a reference for how much white space to remove from the end of a line box. Since the DOM may contain uncollapsed white space, it would sometimes be out of sync with the collapsed text used by the rest of the layout system. Yeah. All right, and then this change here where we draw the background color of fragments if we have them, or if we have a background color. Render a background color for behind text fragments, behind line box fragments, if specified, if needed. Yeah. Cool. It's very, very cool. So let's just build one last time and just triple check. But I think that we're good. Of course, now I don't have that hyperlink anymore, but this is the Ubuntu test page on my machine here, and it basically works. There are still things to fix, obviously, like we didn't do that dotted border around the stuff here, and the page is still resizing, even though it was supposed to be capped at 800 pixels, stuff like that. A lot of things to do, but I think we fixed a whole lot of things already today, so I'm going to say that was a successful little programming session. And we'll end here for today. So if you made it this far, then I thank you for watching, for hanging out, and I hope you saw something interesting, and I will see you next time.